Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the 25th episode of the Awarenezzz Podcast. Today we're here with our guest, Brian Santana. Thank you very much for being with us. And yes, introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah, my name is Brian Santana. I just graduated from the University of Maine, played football over there. So appreciate you guys having me on here.
Of course, Brian, of course. And I mean, as we know, and as you just said, you come from you just finished in the University of Maine, D1 college. But I wanted you to run us a little bit through that process that you went through from the beginning, right? So yeah, everybody wants to get to that D1 level, but what happens at the beginning? Starting like when you first started playing football.
Yeah, so I always thought, I grew up playing basketball.
Yeah.
I'm Hispanic, I'm Dominican, so my mom and my dad was really big on basketball and baseball. Football didn't really come until I was about fifth or sixth grade, and all I knew about football was like hitting each other. And I remember somebody, I think like one of my mom's friends or something, had told me I should play football, and so I gave it a try, and then apparently I was pretty good at it, and dominated people and stuff like that, and had some fun with it in Pop Warner. When I got to high school, I kind of made it a goal. I was like, I kind of want to, I want to try to play Division I football, when I get to college. So I started off going to public school, then I had transferred to a private school nearby, and then I had transferred again to a boarding school in Connecticut called St. Thomas More, where I was around other talented guys. Like some guys I played with ended up at, Nebraska, Michigan, Arizona, Rutgers, Florida, UCLA, you name it, a whole bunch of big schools.
I've heard about that St. Thomas More though.
Yeah, so it was an all boys school.
Okay.
And in the middle of Connecticut, it's really a school filled with athletes. It's known as it's a basketball school. But football, we kind of, football started, now it's big in football, but, when I was there, we were kind of building that up. So, yeah.
Oh, that's perfect, man. And I have to be honest, when I first saw your name, I'm like, yeah, he's definitely a baseball player. Santana has to be the most baseball last name ever,
man. Yeah, I played baseball like when I was really young, bro, and I was like, I do not like this. Probably the most boring sport I've ever played, and even watching it is just like, no disrespect to like baseball players, I can't watch. I can't sit through a baseball game.
I don't think it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. No. And I mean, of course, okay, you got through that journey. You didn't necessarily were going to play football from the beginning, but then you were introduced to it. And what age was that when you were introduced? And then at what age did you realize where you were like, okay, I'm actually good at this,
Yeah, so I started, I think it was fifth or sixth grade. I don't know how old
late though.
I would have been. Yeah, so people, I was just having fun.
Yeah.
And then when I got to high school, I started to realize I was kind of ahead of a lot of, people my age. And I played, I got put on varsity as a freshman and, started varsity as a sophomore. And I was like, all right, well, I want to take this seriously. Not that I wasn't before, but I want to, go to where, that next level. So me going to that boarding school, that was, I was told at the time that I'd be playing against, some of the top teams or some of the top playing with and against some of the top players in the country. And I knew in order for me to, get to where I wanted to be, I had to be around guys that were getting ready to play at that next level. And I just feel like when you surround yourselves with guys like that, you kind of, race to that level. So
Definitely.
I wasn't the best, or like I wasn't the strongest, I was the fastest, but I made sure I outworked everybody. And that's how I kind of approached this whole journey. Like, even when I got to that school, I did good, but I didn't necessarily get the offers that I hoped or expected.
Okay.
To want to play at that Division I level. I think I had a bunch of Division II offers, and I had maybe one or two lower level Division I offers. And this is around COVID, and I was just like, you know what, like I want to go JUCO, so I want to bet on myself.
I see.
So I did that, and ended up going to. COVID was kind of chaotic, to be honest with you. I was gonna go to California, and then I found out they weren't playing. So then I went to Arizona, became a junior college All-American on Rivals, and Rivals came out with a top 100 rankings, and I was like number 35 on that list.
Okay.
And then I ended up just going through a lot. Honestly, I went from there and then went to the University of Arizona for a semester because they asked me to walk on, and then some stuff happened, and they just didn't end up panning out. So I was just like, I'm going to go back to community college, and then I ended up going to California. I was at a school called El Camino College. Shout out to Coach Ty and Coach Giff and Coach Cobb, because they believed in me the whole time. And I honestly, that was probably the best decision, or one of the best decisions I've ever made, playing with that team, with those coaches, because they not only cared about me as a person, but or not only cared about me as a player, but cared about me as a person.
I see. Okay.
I still talk to those guys today, and I had a great year over there, became an all-conference player, and I ended up playing Division I football at Maine after that. So
it's great, man. It's a great journey, and I want to get to all of those aspects, like, as we move on, because I want to start from the beginning and then like where you are right now, and I think all of those points we can definitely take a lot of it from it. But now going back a little bit to that high school football. I mean, football, as we said in the beginning, is the main thing here in America, right? So, and also, like, when I played at the youth level, I was back in Colombia. The same for Mads. He was in Germany. So it's kind of like different cultures and everything. So I just wanted to ask you, like, how is high school football? Like, how's the intensity? What's the level of the game? I know it changes depending on where you're at, but like, for example, in your case, run us a little bit through that experience.
Yeah, so I kind of had a couple different experiences since I went to a couple of different schools. So I would say, when I was in public school or whatever, Friday night lights, everybody in town's kind of getting ready for that Friday night game, cheerleaders, student section, depending on the game. It's just fun, honestly.
I imagine.
Like, all the attention's focused on that. Yeah, everybody throughout the week is talking about the game and the anticipation and all those things. Yeah. So, that was really fun. And then, when I got to boarding school, it was a little different because you have kids from all over the country, or some from, France or Canada, or international students. So, like, a lot of people's families, they're all scattered. So not as many fans, unless, we were playing a rivalry game. Then it was, decent, good crowd. But I would say the level of play when I was at St. Thomas More was probably top notch. Compared to, the other places I've been to, because of the talent level and the teams that we were going against.
I was on ask, you went to the only boys school?
Yeah.
How was it? Like, was could you feel like a difference? Like guys were like maybe more focused on the game and like not much about any other things.
Yeah, so I like. Are you saying just like how is it in general, or just?
It was like a different mentality in the like for the practice, like in the team.
Yeah, so I would say guys were, and not to like discredit or say anything about the other two schools I was at, but I would say because guys made decisions. The reason guys were at that school was to play football and to go to the next level and get ready to go to the next level. So I would say guys were more brought in, and it was more of a, we all had a common goal. Now it wasn't like something that was easy or pleasant. Like I said, it was all boys. We had like room checks at like 8 in the morning, and then our Wi-Fi would cut off at like 11:30 every weekday. We weren't allowed to leave campus and during the week. It was just a lot, but I don't regret it. I would do it again.
Definitely.
Because honestly, those experiences made me who I am today.
Definitely.
And I mean, at an age like that, I'm 17, 18, 19-year-old kid. You kind of sacrifice your social life doing that. And in the moment, you might, feel some type of way because you feel like, oh, you might be missing out or whatever. But for me, it was just I kind of sacrificed all that because I believed in, my dream or wanting to play at the next level. So
Yeah, it's one of those things that you appreciate mostly, like in retrospective, because when you're over there, as you're saying, sometimes, and never, even at that age, you're saying, oh, I might be missing out on this, like I want to enjoy this time, but then it's also what you're talking about, like everybody there, because maybe some schools you're put in there just because you've been there all your life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then this one, everybody there was with the intention of being better at football. So everybody was working towards that goal. And I wanted to ask you, considering how hard it is, because of how many rules you have and like all the rules that you guys have, was the fact that how was the fact of everybody going towards the same goal? How did that help you, or even if it didn't help you, go through that process like in a smoother way?
Yeah, I would say it helped because there was times where I'm just like, is this worth it?
Yeah.
And then even the hard work, it's not like I was, I had school, I was, obviously I had friends, but it's not like after school, okay, I could go home, do whatever I want, blah blah blah. It was like, all right, after school we got workouts, or no, we got practice. Then after practice, film, stuff like that, workouts, in the off season. So I would say that, being around guys who, some of them might have felt, like it was tough, but I think that all made us stronger is, just not going through it alone. We're all going through it together.
Definitely.
And that's why, we were a great team. And then that's why, also, the school, St. Thomas More, that's why they're where they're at now is because they're that's a family down there. So
Definitely, man. And I think that part that you touched over there is very important because a lot of guys, they want to go to D1, but then they don't necessarily know or they don't want to do what's required to go to D1. So I wanted you to like run us a little bit through how, let's say, a week of practice would look like for you guys over there in the high school, just so the guys know like what other guys are doing to get to that D1 level,
So you're saying what practice was like at the boarding school?
Yeah, the practice, and then also like as you like a little bit how you mentioned, but a little bit more detail. So school and practice, whatever.
Yeah, so man, now I'm like starting to go back. But yeah, we used to like wake up at 8 o'clock or 8 o'clock, and then have bag checks at 8:30, 8:40.
Okay.
Then after that, class, then meet with an advisor. Then we would do like workouts
Okay.
in the middle of the school day.
Okay.
And then lunch, then had another class, and then after that, practice from we would have pre-practice at like 2:45 or 3 o'clock, and then
Okay.
practice would go from like 3 to like 6. And it's like, and it's intense, and it's not,
Yeah.
in boarding school, there's not as many, players that you have. Like we had like maybe 40 kids on our team.
Mhm.
And versus, if you go to, you're in a normal school, you have about 80 to maybe 100 kids or something.
Yeah.
So we're like, we're constantly going at it, indie team periods, always hitting and stuff like that. And then, whenever, we're playing on grass. So whenever it would rain, it would be muddy and, we'd be dirty and stuff like that. And then the walk from the football field to, our dorms was like a 20-minute walk. So it wasn't
to cool down.
Yeah, and it wasn't necessarily fun. And then after that, we would have dinner, or if you wanted to watch film or whatever, and then we would go into our rooms at our own floors at 8 o'clock. No, yeah, in our own rooms at 8 o'clock, and then we'd have study hall from 8 to 9:30.
Okay.
And then you couldn't, be on your phone, or
Okay.
you had to ask to listen to music. And then 9:30 to 10 o'clock, some free time, 10:15 in your own rooms, 10:45 lights out, and then 11:30 the Wi-Fi cuts off.
Okay.
There you go again.
Yeah, and then the next day I go again.
So there's not much space for your freedom, like your own time.
Yeah, and I did that for 2 years.
Yeah, but in the end, you had to go D1, and then everyone can see now what you have to do to go to the D1.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
so much
people have looked at my journey and said, oh, obviously I've worked hard, and I don't want to say I've made it look easy, but a lot of people, just a lot of stuff, a lot of hardships, a lot of things that I didn't want to do, I did to get to that level. And it's not fun. Like one of my coaches at Maine would always tell me, if you love the process will love you back. So, I always try to adapt that mentality. When you focus on the process, you're enjoying, the 5 a.m., you're focused, you're enjoying the 5 a.m. wake ups, the lifts, the workouts, you're just taking it all in, taking everything one day at a time, focusing on your job, what you have to do on this player or this day. When you focus on that, the product, the result that you want will just happen. You won't even have to go look for it. You just keep working, take everything one day at a time. And then, those results just happen. So
I love it, man. I love it. And I think it's very good for you to share that experience, because it's good for people to know that there are guys doing this, right now there are guys doing this. So if in order to get to that level, you have to do something similar, you know what I mean? And
absolutely.
I heard it saying that everybody wants what you have, but nobody wants what you did to get there,
Nah. And if I had known, I would have had to go through what I went through. It's probably best that I didn't know. So
yeah, you would have done it twice, though.
Yeah. So don't, to anybody watching, just take it all in, enjoy it. Don't think too far ahead. Just focus on what you have in front of you, and when you do that, everything that you want, that you desire, that will come.
Yeah.
But it's important to just take everything one day at a time and just focus on a task in your job. So
definitely, man.
There's an interview of one of the best football or soccer players right now, Kylian Mbappé. I don't know if you know him. But there's also like he talks about the struggles of becoming like a professional football guy, and he said like I always had the goal, so I knew there's gonna be hard stuff coming, and if you stop liking the hard stuff, then you have to reconsider your goals.
Absolutely.
Like, because you have to do the hard stuff because you know it's gonna help you to reach your goal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, I like it, and a good reframe that I like to have is like everybody since the beginning. Like when you went into football, when you went to all like any journey, any goal that you had, you were like you always thought it was gonna be hard. Like everybody goes everywhere knowing that it's gonna be hard. Well,
Yeah.
those moments are that hard part, you know. It's just that we kind of forget about it when we're going through it, and we just want
Absolutely.
to like throw it away, man. No, it's
And,
great.
and what I will also say is that you got to be different. Like I'm not saying like different in terms of you have to be like a freak of nature.
Mhm.
Like, you know, some people are gifted, you know,
Mhm.
with talent or with other things.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the necessarily. I'm pretty strong. I wasn't necessarily the strongest.
Mhm.
But I would say my superpower, or you know, what I was gifted at, was my work ethic.
Yeah.
So I would say just, you know, outworking everybody,
Yep.
making sure I wasn't giving my second best. Just making sure I was, you know, I had a. You got to be obsessed. Like you have to have a healthy level of obsession. Like, you know, I was always, and all my coaches, you can ask them. Like, I'm like staying in their office, like after practice, after everybody's gone, like, hey, like let's watch film. Like, hey, like, can I go? You know, do you have any workouts I can do? Or hey, like let's watch tape on practice today. Let's do this. Let's do that. You got to be obsessed. You know,
Definitely.
because talent, you know, talent will only get you so far.
Definitely.
You know,
Man.
I've seen guys, or I've played with guys that, you know, are 4-star or some of the best, you know, in the country, but you know, some of them didn't have like the, you know, necessarily the work ethic. And I've seen guys pass those guys up because they worked harder than them, you know. That's what
Definitely.
it's about. So,
Yeah.
you know, and just also just focusing on you, your journey. It's
Mm.
not a matter, or it's not a battle between you and somebody else. It's you versus you. So
Mm.
when you get up, you look in the mirror, you know, you're looking at that person, you're like, all right, I gotta outwork, you know, myself. I gotta push myself today to, you know, get to where, you know, I want to be. So
Amazing, man. And I really love what you said about like talented people and people that have a work ethic, and how people with work ethic will always win. Because yeah, the talented person might start, I don't know, might start at 50%, right? And then the other person might start at 10%, right? Of course, the talented person at the beginning has more. But what if the other person improves 80%? Is not at 90%. But if the talented person stayed there, well, the other person, the guy with the work ethic is always gonna get farther away. So it's great, man. I love it.
exactly.
So I wanted to talk. I thought we touched about like how the work looked like and everything. I wanted to talk about like that recruitment process, because of course for us as internationals, we go through an agency, and then they're the ones that contact the university. So I wanted to ask you about like how did you get to that? Like how was that recruitment process? You already touched a little bit that it was a little bit hectic,
Oh
but a little bit.
man, you know, if I could tell my younger self
Yeah.
something, or give my younger self like some advice,
Yeah.
it would to obviously like one, enjoy, you know, have some more fun,
Mm-hmm.
but to not necessarily compare myself to another player or another person, because I would do that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and yeah, recruitment was just, it was just a lot, dude. Like, and that's why I say like just kind of focus on you, focus on the process. Don't worry about anybody else. Like I used to like look up, you know, players in my position or other players like 4-star top players, and I would get frustrated because I would try to kind of compare my life to, or like this is where I have to be or whatever, and all that was kind of like BS. I should, that stuff doesn't matter,
that creates also a lot of frustration in you, because you're like, you want to be at that point, but you're not looking at like what stage are they at right now, and what stage you're at the moment, right?
And every a lot of people, I put so much pressure on myself that I have to do this or that, but a lot of people, their time comes at different moments. I was a late bloomer. So I, looking back, I'm glad it happened the way it happened, because if I'm being honest with you, I probably wasn't ready as I thought I was in high school. But some people's time comes in, early in high school or later on in high school, or someone like me, at some point in college. So, just focus on you, focus on the process. Don't worry about anybody else. Don't worry about if there's any high schoolers watching, like, don't worry about, another player, or he has this and I don't know, why does he have this and I don't have anything. You don't know when your time is coming. So you also, you got to keep working, because, when your time is, when your number is called, you want to be ready. You don't want to look stupid because you're not ready. So
definitely, man. And again, one of those things that you only appreciate when you're looking back at that moment, you're like, oh, I want to have this now. I want to have this now. That's a great thing. Like as you start going through more situations and more things, you start seeing, okay, things, if I just put in the work, things start open up for me, and you start getting more clarity, man. I love it. And was that like frustration from you comparing yourself to the others coming from what, maybe the fact that you were not getting the offers what you wanted, or like what type of offers when you get in, and then what offer did you end up taking more specifically?
So at the time, I was going through this from like high school all the way to like junior college.
Okay.
So I would just get frustrated because I was playing against like some like top players, and I was putting up good numbers. I was like, I think in high school I averaged like 8 yards a carry, and had some great numbers against talented teams. And then in junior college, like I told you guys, my freshman year I was All-American, and then when I was at El Camino, we played at we were playing in one of the top junior college conferences in the whole country. And even when I got to El Camino, which is a talented, has a history of sending guys to Division I and then moving on to the NFL sometimes. And I was playing some of those top teams, and I was kind of getting frustrated because I would be like this close to like getting an offer. And I remember there was a head coach from this one school, Division I school in North Carolina, and it was UNC Charlotte. I'll just say that. And I guess like he was talking to me, and then I was, he talked to my coach, and my coach was like, it sounds like you might get offered. So I was excited, and then like a week later he got fired, and I was just like, oh my goodness. But and then there was a couple others that where I was right there and then didn't get it. And then Colorado State, I was supposed to go on an official visit, and then something happened, they took another kid. So I was getting frustrated, but I was I was still going through the process. Like I was waking up at 5 a.m. Working out, going on runs, and I would even question, I was questioning myself, like, was all this even worth it?
Yeah.
Sometimes, I was waking up at 5 a.m. to go work at Home Depot, and doing all this, running around. Like during the season, I was going to work at Home Depot from like 5 in the morning to like 12, and going from Home Depot to class, then class to weight training, and then weight training to treatment, then treatment to football, and then practice would be like from 5 to 7, and then I would do it again the next day. So I went through all that, and I was questioning, like,
Definitely.
what am I doing? You know,
Yeah, because you don't know when it's gonna happen or if it's gonna happen, you know?
Yeah, and I'm also older now. I was at the time I was like 22, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, am I delusional for thinking that I can do this?
Okay.
And to an extent, I was, and honestly, and that's okay. Like, to anybody that has a dream or an idea. Like, sometimes you have to be delusional to achieve what you want to achieve. Because no one else will see it but you.
Definitely.
So
I love it.
I went through that process, and then I was like, I might have to settle going like Division II, which I was like so like against at the time, because I had fully believed that I was a Division I player. And I remember it was June of 2023, and then a coach from Maine calls me and says, "Oh, we might have a spot for you. It's between basically it was between me and somebody else." And then the other person committed, basically kind of told me that spot was gone.
Okay.
So I was sad. I was like, like,
hey,
again, I might have to actually like settle like to go to a Division II school, which I was okay. I was okay with. So around 4th of July, I'm at the beach in California, Manhattan Beach, and I receive a call from that same coach.
Oh yeah.
He's like, "B, we have a scholarship for you." Everything, tears, boom.
It's great, man.
So happy because it was years of work, dude. I felt like I went through the ringer, but I didn't give up. I just kept working at it, and I got rewarded. But the work didn't stop. When I got that offer, or when I got to campus, I had to. I thought at the time I was going to walk in and dominate because that's what I was used to.
Yeah.
Everywhere I've been, I've had immediate impact.
Yeah.
I got to Maine. I think I got there like a week before the first game because I had to finish up a summer class.
Yeah.
So I had to like learn the playbook. I learned it actually faster than they thought I would learn it, and I ended up traveling every game, but I wasn't like comfortable and I wasn't like myself. So when I would get in the game, mess up, make a mistake, I was like in my head because I'm like, what am I? I thought I sucked, I thought I didn't belong, and I still felt like I was trying to prove to everybody that I belonged at this level, prove to coaches that I was playing against, prove to my coaches that I belonged at this level. And I remember we got to the off season. And by the way, I made some, I made a bunch of mistakes, and I was just in my head. And after that first year, we got to off-season workouts. I was still kind of like messing up, still trying to prove to my coaches that I belonged, all this stuff, and wasn't having a good wasn't doing good in winter workouts. And I remember Coach Mikhail Waters, who I love very much. He sat me down in his office, and he just told me, like, you dude, you got here like a week before first game, like you didn't have an off season with us, like you're gonna be fine. And that's when he told me, dude, like you have to love the process, and when you do that, the process will love you back. So that stuck with me. Had a great spring camp, and then had a great fall camp. And I had a decent year last season. So yeah.
That was a journey, man. Quite a journey, brother. But no, I
Me
love it.
too.
I love it because there's a lot of stories of you, and just starting off with the fact that you were. I wanted to touch on the point that you were mentioning that sometimes you have to be a little bit delusional,
Yeah.
because yeah, like you may be realistic, but if you're completely realistic, like let's say you were realistic at that point and say, okay, I'm just gonna settle at D2, like from that point you completely like take out of the game the D1 possibilities that you might have had. But then if
Yeah.
you keep that idea in mind that okay, I might still have a chance, as delusional as it may sound, as unlikely as it may sound, there's still a little bit of chance compared to the zero chance that you would have anyways. It's something better, and then if you put in the work, then the chances increases. So I think it's something very, very good for the guys to listen to. And then just the fact that you were getting these roadblocks every time, but that you had to overcome them. Then at the end of the day, you ended up fulfilling your goal, which was playing at a good level in the D1 college, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I just think it's a great story for everyone, man.
Yes,
And
sir.
just kind of like to touch a little bit on that JUCO part that you had. I wanted you to break down a little bit of what the JUCO is, like how the structure is, just for every guy that, and how important it was in your process to find that
Yeah.
college. Just for everybody that, for example, is not ready for a D1 yet, and then JUCO might be a good option for them. Like how does the structure of it look like?
Yeah, well, it's not for everybody. I will say that.
Okay. Okay.
Just like boarding school is not for everybody, but
Mhm.
JUCO is not for everybody.
Okay.
Now I feel like, especially like on the East Coast, which is where I'm based in or where I'm from, there's like I guess this negative notion on like JUCO, and then it's like
Mhm.
bad or whatever. And um, I mean, one, I completely disagree with that.
Mhm.
Because one, you're getting a associate's degree, but also it's like an opportunity for you to you know be able to play at the next level.
Definitely.
And like I said, I was a late bloomer. Some guys don't fully develop
Mhm.
physically or maturity wise until you get to college. And
Mhm.
I've had a great experience there. Like at El Camino, I played with some really talented guys, and I mean some guys who didn't make it, probably should have made it to that level. So it's a high level. I mean, depending where you go, um, it's high quality, high level. At El Camino, they treated it like it was a university. The way our
Okay.
coach structured practice and workouts. But in California, it's not easy because you're not, you know, California JUCOs don't offer scholarships.
Oh, really?
You're like paying out of pocket, and in California's expensive, y'all. I don't know if y'all been to California. Like,
I've heard it. I've heard
I was
it.
out there, them gas prices were like $7. Like,
Really?
I remember I put gas in my car. It was like I put like $40. It barely filled halfway. I was like, oh man. But
Here, I think it's 375 or something.
yeah. Where you guys at?
Indiana.
Indiana?
It's also
Yeah.
very
Yes.
bad.
Wow. So yeah, like I paid 700 a month to share a room, and there was about maybe 15 dudes in our house.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily like the best area, but it was a safe.
Okay.
Our coach made sure we were safe.
Okay.
But it's just that's like a lot of money, and I was
Yeah.
working and doing all those things. So it's not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say it is worth it. And I would, if like I said, I had to do it again, I would do it again in a heartbeat. And I'm a proud California junior college product. So, or in other words, a JUCO product. So, that situation, um, that school, the coaches, the environment, the players. I had a teammate who would drive 2 hours to practice every day because he lived
Imagine.
far. Or you have some guys that might be living out of their car
You have to pay a
just
lot
to
of
try.
gas money.
What was that?
You have to pay a lot of gas money.
Yeah, like some guys might be living out of their car, but the thing is, and it was a struggle. But like I told you before, like same thing with when I was in boarding school, we all had a common goal of where we wanted to go, where we wanted to be, and those struggles, we weren't going through those struggles alone. And also, like I want to thank God and Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, because I wouldn't, be where I'm at without, the man above. So, that's a big, that's, primarily the reason for my success.
Definitely,
So,
man. Definitely, man. So it's not something that's necessarily gonna be a walk in the park by any means, but then it's something that for all of those guys that are necessarily not prepared for that college level, but that still want to play at a high level and want to prepare for that level, it's a very big opportunity so they can keep developing and they still got the chance to at some point get to that D1 level. Is that a right way to put it?
yeah, absolutely. Like you're still playing against, like you're playing with or against top guys who are, are getting ready to go to that level or have offers from that level. So,
Okay.
Or guys who were already at that level but transferred to a junior college to go bounce back
Okay.
to D1.
What do
So
you think is the main point why people say JUCO is bad? Is it education or because it's more expensive, like no scholarship?
no, it's not that. Well, it's not the scholarship part. It's just I feel like I've heard some people say, oh, like the education or the kid, like people who like kids who don't have good grades or weren't good kids or whatever. Go to junior college. Which I mean, now there is kids who didn't have good grades or aren't necessarily the best kids who, yeah.
There are kids like that everywhere.
But that wasn't me. Like I had good grades.
Yeah.
I would like to believe that I'm a, really good kid.
Yeah.
So like if you're somebody like me, like JUCO is not a bad thing. I would actually recommend it to anybody. But it's also not, easy.
Definitely.
And I'm glad it wasn't easy because it prepared me for stuff, later down the road. So
Of course, brother. No, that's great, man. And now that we went through all that process, high school, then UCO, now I wanted to ask you for people to have a good idea of how like the D1 level looks like. The same way we did in the boarding school with the weekly trainings. How did a weekly training look like for you guys in the University of Maine, and how was it structured?
So during the season, not gonna lie, during the season it was kind of brutal, but I got used to it. But we would wake up because I was so used to practicing in the afternoons.
Okay.
When I got to Maine, it was the complete reverse of that.
Okay,
So
in the morning.
Yes, and I wasn't used to that at all. So I had to adjust to that. So we would wake up at or we would have meetings at like 6:30 or 6:40 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we'd have a team meeting, then that would last maybe 10, 15 minutes, then a unit meeting at 7:00, then a position meeting at 7:20 up till like maybe 7:50, and have some time to go get changed for practice. And we'd have to be outside at like 8:00, and then practice maybe start. Or no, we'd have to be outside at like 8:15. Practice starts at like 8:30, 8:40, and then I think practice would end at like 10:30, 10:40.
Okay.
And then after that, if it was during the season, then you had the rest of the day. If you had class or get treatment or whatever, and then at some point in the day we would have film as a position group, and then if we were playing away Fridays, we would walk through and then go travel by plane or sometimes by bus, depending where we were playing at. And then Saturday, it was game day, strap up. So during the off season, we would wake up at
You guys would stay there during off season?
What was that?
You guys would stay there during off
Like
season?
on campus?
Yeah, like you still would have like normal practice and everything during off season?
Like in the spring. In the spring.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
in the winter, in the winter, we would, wake up earlier. So we would start at like 6 a.m. to do off season workouts and then go lift or whatever, and
Okay.
a lot of intensity. And then in the summer, we had summer workouts, and then. But honestly, I loved it, and I was already like prepared for that because of what I experienced. But I love hard work and doing
Gets
all
to a
that.
point where it gets to a point where when you don't have it, you miss it, right?
Yeah, man, I feel like I should still be playing, but it is what it is. But yeah, so
Amazing, man. Amazing. I really appreciate you just like taking the time and just sharing with us all those valuable experiences and all those hard moments that you went through as well, which at the end of the day turned you in the person that you are today, right? And that
Yes,
at the
sir.
moment we don't really appreciate, but then now looking in retrospective, we see how beneficial they were for us, man. So I really appreciate you for for sharing all those moments with us, because we definitely got a lot of value, and I hope the people watching it got a lot of value, because this is actually what it is. Yeah, you might see all the stadiums and everything, but then there's a ton of hard work and a ton of hard moments underneath that, So you sharing that is definitely valuable, not only for us, but then only for anybody watching, man. So I really appreciate you for that.
Me too. We get it. I think also I want to touch on the point your coach told you, like you have to like trust the process, or like give into the process they're gonna give you back. Because I think hearing that from a coach gives you so much more, like also you don't feel that much pressure, I think. Like because you can hear it from a friend, is like, okay, I like the saying, but from a coach, then he's really trusting you and he's giving you the time to develop.
Yeah, like he believed. Like one thing I will say about Coach Waters, Coach Brown, um, Coach Stevens, all those guys believed in me. And I, if they called me and wanted to chat or wanted to give me a job or whatever, like I'd be there in a heartbeat, because those guys, they poured into me. And Coach Waters kind of giving me that that talk, or the many talks that we've had. That means a lot to a player like myself, who's always kind of overly critical, or wants to be perfect.
Definitely.
Is that trust that he has in me.
Definitely.
Help me kind of relax. Help me believe in myself too.
Definitely.
So
I mean, at the end of the day, that the coach is the person that we want to like look good for, because of course you want to do it for yourself, but then at the end of the day, they make that decision. So if they give you that trust, if they give you that confidence, then you have way more trust and confidence in yourself. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to trust the process more, as you said. Oh, that's perfect, man. It's perfect. Brother, now to finish it off, are you okay if we run through some rapid fire questions?
Let's do it.
All right, perfect, man. What's the loudest stadium that you played in? Can be high school or college.
Oh, Montana State. So
Montana State.
I mean, we played at University of Oklahoma, which is a bigger school. But Montana State, I think, had around 30,000, 25,000 people. But when we played them, I think it was like a 6 p.m. game on a Saturday night. And the whole stadium was dressed in like gold or yellow, and it was just loud, like you couldn't hear yourself like think or talk or whatever. But it was a great experience.
Amazing.
30,000 people watching you.
Absolutely.
What do you think is the most important thing in the locker room before a game?
Before a game?
Yeah.
I would say, just lock in on, don't worry about, the fans or, people watching the game, because once that first play hits, that's not going to matter. I would say lock in on, your assignment, what you have to do, making sure you're being consistent and you keep a positive attitude throughout the game, through the highs and lows. You're showing up for your teammates because that's important. You're picking your teammates up. If something bad happens, you're encouraging everybody. But yeah, just lock in on your assignment, what you have to do, and make sure don't wait till the game to ask questions. Like, make sure you're studying and doing that stuff before the game. So
yeah, amazing, man. Brother, and besides football, what's your favorite memory in D1?
Oh, in Division I?
Yeah.
I would say, to be real with you, man, like, I don't have a one-time memory. I would say my favorite thing was spending time with my teammates, all those guys. Those are relationships that will probably last me a lifetime.
Definitely.
These are guys that'll, I'll be friends with for years. Honestly, I probably have a closer relationship with those guys than I do, the rest of my friends, because I went through battle with them, went through a whole bunch of stuff with them at that level. And I had, so much fun, so many memories with them, and I miss them very, very much. And I know they're actually about to go play Liberty this weekend, so I wish them the best of luck. I wish I could be out there with them, but
perfect, man.
I love those guys very much, and I hope they know that. So
amazing, man.
Amazing.
Yes, sir.
If you could change one rule, which one would it be and why?
If I could change what?
One rule.
Oh, in football?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
So many.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm trying to think. It's not necessarily a rule. I wish teams would run the ball more, but no, I would say maybe I don't think you could block from, or I don't think you can like blindside people anymore. Which I know I probably sound crazy saying that. I like to hit people, so I know it's not necessarily like the safest thing you can do, but if we can continue to do that,
and make it safe.
It's probably not safe but if that's probably the one rule that I would want to change. So,
okay, brother, I want you to imagine this scenario. You just got off like toughest practice, preseason practice, something like that, or a tough game. What meal would you want to see in your plate?
Oh, white rice, black beans, and in Dominican we call this chicharrón de pollo, which is like Dominican fried chicken. So, that's never happened, but I love Dominican food. So, yeah.
What's chicharrón de pollo? Because we have chicharrón, but we have it from pork.
It's Dominican fried chicken, basically.
Okay. All right.
So, sounds good. Something that is in your bag 99% of the time.
Something that's in my bag 99% of the time. I would say my phone, my Bible, and a water. So.
All right, brother. And what's your favorite football moment?
Ooh, favorite football moment. I've had a couple. There was one time in junior college where it's probably like the first play of my highlight, to be honest. We were playing against a school, Fullerton College, and I was running basically like midline inside zone up the A gap, and I ran through like 4 defenders, and it was like this big highlight that was like all over social media, and then it was I was like, what did I just do? But it was that, and then in high school, When I was at St. Thomas More, we were playing against this team called National Christian Academy, and they had a bunch of top, nationally ranked players, and great game. I think the score was like 42-41. We won. I scored the game-winning touchdown. It was like a 40-something yard run, and everybody was going crazy. And even early on in high school, I had another game-winning touchdown at a different school, and it's like a 60-yard run. But those are just like the moments you like play for. So
Of course, bro. Of course, that's great.
So absolutely.
And then you gave a lot of great advice already, but if you could give a final advice to young athletes, which one would it be?
Yeah, man, I would just say, like I said before, don't worry about anybody else. Focus on you. Focus on the process. Fall in love with the process. Don't compare yourself to anybody. Believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in you, nobody will. And like I said before, it's okay to be delusional, and don't try to be like everybody else. Don't be a follower, be a leader. Be different. Who cares? What other people think of your goals or what they think of you. Trust in God, trust in yourself. So yeah, be persistent, and don't give up, and also most importantly, have fun with it. That's one thing I wish I would have done is enjoyed the moment, or I wish I would have stayed more present in the moment. So
I see. No, man, I think that's a great way to finish it up, brother. And as I said before, I really appreciate you just taking the time and being willing to just share your experiences, because this is not only great for us, we get a lot of value from it, but also for a lot of the guys that are at that stage and they want to get to that D1 level, for them to have an idea of what it actually takes, and to hear it from somebody that has already been there, I think is amazing, man. So I really appreciate you for taking the time and sharing your experiences, brother.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me.
No, of course, man. No, it's been a pleasure.